Leaving college. Is that true?
She asked with a surprised expression. I lowered my gaze in response. Yo. After replying like that, I raised my head to look at her. She had a furrowed brow, and her expression alone made it clear that she was angry.
Well, then, we're parting ways.
She said, turning her face away from me with a dismissive attitude.
We never really matched well, you and I. This is a perfect opportunity for us.
She paused for a moment and took a deep breath. Then she said,
Let's break up.
Without even looking at my face, she left in a hurry, her voice trembling as she turned away. Maybe she was crying, but I chose to pretend I didn't notice. I met her 6 years ago when we were about to break up. I was still a ninth grader in high school.
Oh, it's a nice piece of land.
A man in an expensive suit said as he arrived at my house. He handed a business card to me and my grandfather. The man's name was Max Johnson, with the title of CEO of the Johnson Group on his card. It seemed like this man was quite important. Johnson had come to see the cabbage field in my backyard. My grandfather was dealing with him, with a troubled expression.
Well, it's a piece of land with nothing special except for its size, and we only grow cabbages here.
No, that size is important to me. I'd like to purchase it at double the market price, of course.
Well, it's been passed down through generations, you see.
I heard there's no heir now. I believe your son and daughter-in-law had an unfortunate accident, right? To maintain this field in the future might be difficult for you in your old age, isn't it?
Well, give me some time to think about it.
While listening to their conversation, I played in the field by myself. In an empty spot where nothing was cultivated, I swung a hoe, pretending to do farm work. As I did that, I heard laughter from behind. The laughter clearly sounded mocking, which irritated me. Hey, who just laughed?
Sorry. I couldn't help but find it funny that someone as skinny as you is trying to act tall tough with a hoe.
Apologizing without any real remorse. The girl who appeared in front of me was about the same age as me. She had pigtails tied with a red ribbon and was wearing a white dress. While she dressed neatly, what stood out to me was her plump figure. And what about you? Dressing like that with a chubby body isn't much better, I retorted. In response, she blushed deeply.
How rude. What's your name?
I'm Arik Hall. And you?
I'm Sarah Johnson. I'm going to buy this land from your family for a high price, so you better change that arrogant attitude of yours.
It seemed that she was Johnson's daughter, negotiating with my grandfather. It's not you but your father who's buying it, right? Besides, we have no intention of selling this place.
What did you say?
It appeared that my words reached them, as Johnson, who was talking to my grandfather, came over.
Oh, you said you have no intention of selling now, didn't you, boy?
Yeah, we're not selling. You haven't even tasted our cabbages. They are delicious.
Hey, Arik, you shouldn't be disrespectful to the customer.
But this is a field that has been passed down through generations. If my dad is gone and there's no heir, then I'll inherit here. He was taken aback for a moment and then burst into laughter.
That's interesting. If you're willing to go that far, I'll refrain from buying this land.
As Johnson said this, with a smile, I was left astonished, and he made a surprising proposal.
Why don't we become sponsor? If you accept that, your cabbages will sell even better, and you'll be able to continue running the business. Some of the profits will go to the Johnson family, but in return, we'll fully support you. How about it? It's not a bad deal, right?
I was still only 15 years old and didn't fully understand the complexities of adult discussions, but I did grasp that things would get better than they are now. Despite that, for some reason, my grandfather looked at me with an apologetic expression.
Are you really okay with this?
With what?
I'm happy that you want to inherit this, but don't you want to do what you really want? You don't have to be tied down to this field.
I gently took my grandfather's hand and smiled. Grandpa, this is exactly what I want to do. As I passionately conveyed my feelings, it seemed to get through to my grandfather, who finally smiled happily.
If you say so, then I'll have to keep working hard.
And so, we were able to overcome this crisis. As the conversation came to an end, when Johnson and Sarah were about to leave, I tried to give them something. Take this with you.
What is it?
It was a bag filled with several heads of cabbage.
Is it just cabbages? Don't you have a better gift?
Sarah complained immediately. We're cabbage farmers. We don't have anything else.
I don't need these leaves.
Just try eating them. Cabbages are good for dieting, you know. At the mention of the word diet, Sarah's eyebrows twitched, but reluctantly, she reached out for the bag.
If you're going to insist like that, I guess I can help it. I'll take it since you're so persistent.
I wasn't really being persistent.
Shut up.
Despite her complaints, Sarah took the bag of cabbages.
Thank you, boy. Next time, we'll come for an inspection.
Johnson said so before they finally left. That was my first encounter with her, Sarah Johnson. 2 months later,
I've come for an inspection.
a girl I didn't recognize said as she approached while my grandfather and I were working in the field. She had a ponytail and was wearing a black t-shirt with denim pants. Who are you? I asked, confused. In response, she showed an angry expression.
You already forgot. It's me, Sarah Johnson. To forget about me, you've got some nerve.
Sarah Johnson. Wait, are you really the same person from back then?
That's right. Why are you so surprised?
Because the Sarah Johnson I knew had a slightly fuller figure and dressed in a more princess-like manner than the girl in front of me now. The Sarah standing before me had a slender figure and was dressed more casually. It was a complete change in appearance, and I couldn't hide my surprise. Seeing my astonished expression, she smirked and said,
Oh, could it be you're admiring me?
While her appearance had changed, it seemed her haughty personality remained the same. I was still convinced that she was indeed Sarah. However, I couldn't entirely deny the words admiring her, and I found myself at a loss for words. Feeling somewhat frustrated, I averted my gaze from Sarah. Well, if you start talking, it might disappoint me though. I was embarrassed and saying something I didn't mean.
What did you say? Forget it. I was going to give you thanks though.
I didn't miss the soft-spoken words that followed her complaint. Give me thanks. What is it? When I asked, she probably didn't think I could hear. Sarah blushed and looked embarrassed.
Well,
I couldn't help but be captivated by the sight of Sarah struggling to respond. As she was hesitating, a large hand gently rested on her head.
It's all thanks to your cabbages. She used to dislike vegetables, but thanks to this cabbage, she started eating other vegetables too. And Sarah's health has improved. Thank you.
It was Sarah's father, Johnson, who said this.
I was planning to visit for the inspection today alone, but Sarah insisted on helping in return as a thank you. Would it be all right to let her assist?
With a kind smile, Johnson spoke these words, causing Sarah's face to turn even redder.
damn, Dad, why did you say that?
Their interaction was heartwarming, and I couldn't help but chuckle. That's why she dressed comfortably. She has her cute side too. Thinking such things, I said, of course, that's fine, and allowed Sarah to join me in the field. Everything was going well up to this point, but
It's so heavy. I can't carry it anymore. Oh no. Oh worm. Oh my God. Mud on my face.
Sarah was still a proper heiress. Despite trying to help, she ended up causing more trouble than assistance. What are you even here for?
What? Like I said, I came to help.
You haven't been helpful at all since earlier. We don't need your help anymore, so just go home. When I said that, Sarah hung her head low. Seeing her like that made me realize, oh no, did I go too far? As I was thinking that, suddenly she raised her head abruptly. What? Got something to say? I retorted reflexively, but there was no anger on her face. In fact, she looked rather sad. What? Surprised, I watched as Sarah averted her gaze from me and ran away from the scene. As she left, she quietly muttered, "I'm sorry." Watching this, my grandfather and Johnson couldn't help but smile wryly.
Oh dear, you shouldn't make a girl cry.
A guy with a bad mouth won't be popular, boy.
Their words made me reflect on my earlier behavior. Wondering what to do next, I received further advice from my grandfather and Johnson.
Now's not the time to hesitate.
You shouldn't leave a girl who you're interested in alone, boy.
With their words in mind, I suddenly realized what I needed to do. I had to chase after Sarah. I sprinted at full speed and soon caught up with her. "Hey!" I called out loudly, causing Sarah to stop in her tracks.
What are you here for? Did you come to complain again?
Though her words sounded assertive, Sarah didn't turn around when she spoke. She probably didn't want me to see her crying. Understanding her feelings, I sincerely apologized, saying, "I'm sorry. Come to think of it, you didn't know anything, but suddenly offered to help, even though you had no idea how to do it. I'm sorry for getting angry. I was really happy when you offered to help, so thank you, Sarah." With that, Sarah finally turned to me and said,
You called me by my name for the first time.
"Oh, did I?"
Yes. You always just called me you, which was rude.
Well, you're the one who always referred to me as, "Hey, you," without ever calling my name.
Oh yeah.
As if the tears from earlier had been a lie, Sarah returned to her usual haughty demeanor, and it irritated me. "You? You act all meek, but then you get all cocky.
What's the matter? Are you trying to pick a fight with me?
The previously friendly mood had suddenly changed, and the atmosphere became tense. It was always like this. I couldn't fathom what grudge Sarah held against me, as she complained and grumbled incessantly. I endured her complaints while covering my ears. Despite our differences, this was how we were, and somehow, it worked for us. I had no illusions about a simple cabbage farmer like me somehow making it with Sarah, an heiress of the Johnson Group. She's so high-handed and full of herself. This woman is way out of my league. Lost in thought, I didn't notice when Sarah suddenly turned to look at me.
Hey, are you even listening, Arik?
When my name unexpectedly came out of Sarah's mouth for the first time, I instinctively uncovered my ears. Sarah must have done it unconsciously. When she realized the words she had spoken, she blushed and covered her mouth.
Anyway, if I leave it like this, it won't count as repaying you. So, I'll come to help again. Someday, I'll definitely make you say, I'm grateful. Thank you, Lady Sarah. Remember that.
With those words, she ran off from the scene once again, as if in a hurry. What's up with her? Since then, Sarah really did come back to help. She came once a week, and before I knew it, a year had passed. During that time, Sarah had completely taken on the appearance of a farm girl. Her once fair skin was tanned, her beautiful nails were caked with dirt, and her long hair had been cut short because it was getting in the way. She no longer looked like a typical heiress, but her occasional smiles, bathed in the sunlight, always captured my heart.
What are you looking at?
Well, I just thought you're cute.
What?
Oh no. Perhaps because she had captured my heart, I inadvertently answered honestly. I was afraid that Sarah would make fun of me. As I thought about what to say to Sarah, she blushed and looked embarrassed. Then she said,
Well, if you say it like that, I guess I could be your girlfriend.
What are you? I tried to ask her what she meant, but she deliberately looked at her watch.
Oh, it's getting late. I have to go home soon. See you later, Arik.
She smiled gently while calling me by my name, leaving me stunned in place. Seizing that opportunity, Sarah quietly left the scene. Just as she left, Grandpa arrived holding a water bottle as if to replace her.
Hey, has she already gone home? I brought some juice. Arik, your face is all red. Arik.
I couldn't respond to Grandpa's calls and was frozen in place. And so, by some twist of fate, we ended up dating. But surprisingly, our relationship with Sarah was enjoyable. You know.
You too.
We had our fair share of arguments, but they say that the more you fight, the closer you are. Although we attended different high schools, we both applied to the same college, and we spent our college years together. However, just before graduation, the thing I had feared happened. Grandpa passed away. Granny had already passed away, and my parents died in an accident when I was young. That meant I had to live on my own.
Are you really quitting college?
Yo.
Well, then, we're parting ways. We were never a good match anyway. This is a perfect opportunity for us.
She paused and took a deep breath before continuing.
Let's break up.
8 years have passed since then. Afterward, the Johnson Group withdrew its sponsorship. Perhaps it was because of my breakup with Sarah. I lost my family, she left, and the sponsor withdrew. I had nothing left to lose. I devoted myself entirely to farming. Thanks to my efforts, my farm gained recognition, and my crops sold better than before. A large corporation even became a sponsor. On this day, I was at a high-end restaurant for an entertainment event, hosted by that large corporation. Phew, just a little more, and the entertainment will be over. All right. Looking at myself in the mirror in the restroom, I slapped both cheeks to psych myself up. As I was about to return to my seat, I passed by the entrance of the restaurant. Then, from somewhere, I heard a woman's voice calling, "Arik." When I turned toward the voice, I was shocked to see none other than Sarah standing there. "Sarah, what are you doing here?" Sarah seemed surprised to see me as well. However, she quickly smirked and looked down on me.
Well, it's been a long time, Mr. Loser, who left college and became a fallen farmer with minimal education. Why are you here at such an upscale restaurant?
Sarah spoke with an air of condescension, and it irritated me. "Why, it's none of your business." "Why the hell are you here then?" I asked, and Sarah grabbed the arm of the man next to her, drawing him closer with a smile.
Why, can't you tell? It's a date. My boyfriend here is a graduate of Ivy League.
"Oh, I see. Well, you certainly managed to snag quite an impressive guy."
What's that supposed to mean?
I mean exactly what I said. Your looks might be good, but your personality is far from cute. And you're a pain in the neck. You're the worst.
What did you just say? How dare you say that? You're no better, always speaking your mind bluntly. I bet you haven't had a girlfriend since then, right?
These arguments bring back memories. As I was thinking that, Sarah's boyfriend spoke up.
"Stop it. It's embarrassing,"
said her boyfriend, inexplicably trembling. I wondered what was going on, and he approached Sarah with a pale face.
"Sarah, do you know who this person is?"
What?
"This person is someone well known in the agricultural industry, and he has even been a lecturer at my college. He started his own company from scratch, and the capital exceeds $500 million.
That means?
Yeah, it's not just a small or medium-sized enterprise. It's a major corporation. Furthermore, he's the president of that company."
When her boyfriend, who knew my true identity, explained this to Sarah, she had a surprised expression.
You're the president.
Well, sort of.
So, you've been working hard since then.
For a moment, I felt like she was smiling, but her expression quickly turned into one of disdain. "Well, it doesn't matter to me what you've become. Let's go," Sarah said as she pulled her boyfriend's hand. However, her boyfriend released Sarah's hand and returned to me.
"I'm sorry. Here, this is my business card."
I took the business card, and the name read Kevin Wilson. The company name was Wilson Farm Corporation. Wilson, is that the agricultural venture company? Are you by any chance?
"Yes, that's right. My father is the owner, and I'm embarrassingly in a position with no particular responsibilities due to nepotism, but I hope to have a role in the future."
I see.
"So, my contact information is written on the back of this business card. Could you please contact me later?
I never expected to be asked something like this by Sarah's boyfriend, so I unintentionally let out a dumbfounded, "What?"
Please be sure to contact me later. Goodbye.
With those words, Kevin hurried back to Sarah. I found it strange, but decided to contact him later. Somehow, I ended up having lunch with Kevin at a cafe on the other day. Why do I have to have lunch with my ex-girlfriend's boyfriend? Despite her annoying attitude, she was still my ex-girlfriend after all. I really don't feel like it, I muttered to myself as I headed to the designated cafe. Kevin noticed me and waved his hand. As I approached, to my surprise, Sarah was also there. So, Kevin, I thought it was just the two of us.
What's going on? Kevin, wasn't today supposed to be a date?
While we were surprised, Kevin gestured for me to sit down. Then he started to say,
I'm sorry. After seeing the two of you the other day, I thought I had to do this to get the two of you to meet.
"What do you mean?" I asked, and Kevin looked me straight in the eyes.
It was you all along. The person Sarah has had feelings for all these years.
Wait, what are you saying, Kevin? He and I are just old acquaintances.
Flustered, Sarah desperately tried to explain. Well, it's true that someone like me being her ex-boyfriend is something she wouldn't want to be known. Thinking that, I tried to tell Kevin that there was nothing between Sarah and me. At that moment, with a troubled smile, Kevin said to Sarah,
You don't have to pretend to dislike him so much anymore.
It's not like that.
Sarah, bewildered, listened to Kevin's gentle words.
Sarah, you mentioned this during our arranged meeting, right? You said, I'm sorry. I have feelings for someone else. He's a really annoying guy. But he's someone very dear to me. The person who changed me. I've liked him for a long time. I'm sure I'll never fall for you. Is that okay?
Kevin continued his explanation.
I was drawn to your honesty, so I wanted to be with you. I tried my best, thinking that someday you might come to like me. But it was just causing you pain, wasn't it?
Kevin, what are you trying to say?
I realized it after seeing the two of you interact the other day. You don't act that way with me.
That's because I hate this guy. There's nothing special between us.
Sarah's words left me feeling conflicted. And Kevin finally said,
No, that's not it. It's because you like him that you can be completely honest with him, right? It's not me. So let's break up.
Wait, Kevin,
Don't worry. Just because we're breaking up doesn't mean I'll withdraw my investment in your dad's company. Please, take care from now on.
Kevin said to Sarah, then stood up and turned towards me.
All right, please take good care of Sarah.
Then he placed bills on the table and left the restaurant. Only Sarah and I remained at the table.
All right then, I guess I'll be going.
She said, starting to get up. I instinctively grabbed her hand.
What are you doing?
I didn't even know why I had grabbed her hand. Well, I mean, since we've run into each other after such a long time, maybe we could talk.
There's really nothing to talk about.
Sarah pulled her hand away, looking like she was about to leave. Not wanting her to go, I decided to ask about something that had been on my mind. What does investment mean? I guess she thought she couldn't escape that question anymore. She stopped in her tracks and returned to her seat.
Do No, what happened to the Johnson Group after you and I broke up?
What? You mean, is it related to them dropping their sponsorship of our company?
Our finances were already in bad shape to begin with. Trying to buy that land from you was part of our strategy to address that.
That farmland, and that means it's my fault.
Don't get the wrong idea. My father actually liked you. He wouldn't have done something like that if he didn't see potential. Our financial situation was bad, and we were on the brink of bankruptcy. But that's because of my father's poor management, not because of you.
And now, is everything okay now? She chuckled and shrugged.
Thanks to my engagement with Kevin, things are better now. Although that engagement also fell apart in the end.
But Kevin said he would still invest.
Well, I guess it worked out in the end. I feel a bit guilty though.
I suppose that's Kevin's way of showing goodwill. Well, anyway, someone as kind as him doesn't really suit you.
What's that supposed to mean?
It means exactly what it sounds like. You put on an act in front of Kevin. It's not really you.
Well, I didn't have a choice. I'm the fiancé responsible for the company's fate. I couldn't afford to fail.
But you've already failed.
That's...
Sarah stumbled over her words, and I couldn't help but chuckle. That's right. Sarah, who constantly speaks harshly, actually has such expressive facial expressions, and her best expression is when she's smiling. I realized I wanted to see that best smile again and said to Sarah, "Why don't you choose me?"
What? What does that mean?
I mean, you should choose me as your fiancé instead of that nice guy. Saying it twice made me feel embarrassed, so I averted my gaze while waiting for her response. Then, I heard Sarah chuckling.
What? You can't be serious.
Sarah laughed, thinking that I looked back at her and she was laughing with tears in her eyes. This was her best smile as well. Who else can adapt to you other than me?
You should be grateful that someone like you can marry someone like me, Arik.
I replied to Sarah's words with a mischievous smile. I appreciate it. Thank you, Sarah.